Mhm. Okay. So for today, we'll just try to execute, a few, dummy APIs, just to show you guys how the API works. Okay, how the API execution works. Just we will have a demonstration. So as you all know, we are using a Postman as a tool in order to, execute our APIs. Okay. Okay, so this is in a Postman tool. Let me clear the previous execution. Okay, okay. So this is in a Postman tool that we are using. So in this, so today we'll just have a demonstration, like how the APIs we need to execute. Just we will just execute a few APIs and we'll see. Okay. So here, I'm just creating in a collection. Okay, what is collection? How to create this? All these things will be discussed in the actual session. Okay, just I will show you, uh, like how to execute. Okay, I've created a dummy API as in a collection. In this, we have an option like a add a request. Okay, so I'm clicking on add a request. So here, this is in a website which is having some dummy APIs. Okay, this is not a real APIs. This is having some dummy APIs. Okay, so in this website, I'm just taking a, get method. Okay, this is one HTTP method, and this is the scenario. What it is doing, it is listing all the users. Okay, so if you click on this, this is the endpoint. Okay, so this is the endpoint. In this endpoint, we have a, multiple parameters, that is query parameter we have, and we have our endpoint like a user. Okay, so let's take this API and paste it in the URL. Okay, so automatically under the param section, query parameter is getting added. Okay, like users is the endpoint and page is equal to 2 is the query parameter. So what is this query parameter, what is this endpoint, everything will discuss. Okay, maybe from tomorrow they will going to start the actual session, guys. So in the actual session we'll discuss from the scratch. Today for just a demonstration purpose to make you understand how the execution happens, just I'm executing. Okay, so what is the scenario? The scenario is listing the users. If this is the scenario. Okay, let's save the scenario. Let's save this scenario. Okay, save the scenario and send it. Okay, so this is the request that we have created, and this is the response that we have received from the server. Okay, so what is the response it contains? The one thing is we need to check the status code. Okay, so what is the status code, whether it is a 200 series or not? Okay, 200 means 200 series in the sense like it is talking about the successful response. Okay, so we have received the response successfully and the status code is 200. Okay, then how much of time it is taking to execute the request? This is the time that it is taking to execute the request. Okay, and if you can see here, this is the response body, response cookies, response header. Okay, we are not writing any snippet in the test, so it is, as of now it's not enabled. This is the response that we have received. Okay, So if you have to see in the different format, we have a different format here. So we are expecting to see the result in the JSON format. So this is how it is looking now. Okay. Okay. So which is just displaying us the page 2 information. Okay. So we are filtering here. We have a multiple pages, in that we are just filtering the page. Okay. So if I want some particular page, so page 3 information, okay, let's print like this, page 3 information. Okay. So query parameter is nothing but we are providing some extra information to our resource in the key value parameter. Okay, in the key value pair of information that we are providing to the resources. Okay. So now let's execute one post request. This is the get request, and this is one post request, means creating a data. So let's create this. So this is the endpoint. Okay. Slash API user is the endpoint. Copy this, and under the dummy APIs, let's create a request. Create data, and post is there. So let's copy paste. Okay, slash API slash user. Okay, so in this, again, this is the body information. Copy this body, and select the option, provide the body information. This is the data that you need to create. Okay, in which format you are passing, in the JSON format you are passing. So what is JSON, so how to create this data, all these things will be learning in the actual session. Okay, so now save it and send the request. So 201 created, means it's successfully created. It is saying that it is successfully created. Okay. So as a successful creation, it is sending me the response. What response it is sending? It is sending the name and the job that we are trying to create. Along with that, it is generating the unique queue ID. Okay. So unique queue ID is nothing but 880 is the unique queue ID. At what time it's created also, it is just generating. Okay. So this is how it is creating the data. Okay. So like here also in the document they are providing that response should be like this. So this is how response should look like, and status code should be 201. Yes, we are receiving the same details, status code and response name, job and ID, and created at time we are receiving. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So this is how execution of the post request. If you want to execute one more request, like just take a put method, take a put method, and put is nothing but updating a data, right? So updating a data. So let's update data. And I'm taking here put. Okay. So I'm taking this API. The endpoint will be slash user slash 2, and here this is the base URL. Let's copy the base URL. Okay. And what is the body that you need to send for the update? So for the update, let's copy this. Maybe job location we need to update. Okay. So here for the second user, I need to update to this name and this job. Okay, so let's save it. So this is the second user. Okay, this is the endpoint. After the endpoint we are sending a path parameter. Okay, so we are sending the path parameter here after the second user. Okay, so for this user we need to uh, update this value. So save it and send it. So it's a 200 status code, and this is a response that we are receiving. Okay, if you go at the params, see, this is a path parameter is we are adding here. So what is this path parameter, how it is working, all those things we'll be learning in the actual sessions. Okay, so this is how we need to work in the postman tool. Okay, so this is a we need to create a different services and different scenarios. By taking an apis we have to create a different scenarios like this, and we need to work on this. Okay, yeah. Guys, still again the folks has not joined. That's the reason I'm just executing a few cases, and I'm just huh.
What is the main use of this? Whatever we have done just now, what is the advantage of doing that way?
No, oh, miss, this is you're asking.
Yes, sir.
See, okay. See,
What
for
we, I mean, what is the benefit out of doing like this?
see for
Anyway,
huh. See, for example, we will be having a application. Okay, so let's take a we have a some banking application. Okay, so we have a something called as an UI automation. So we can also perform a task in the UI automation, right? We can open the application, we can create a data, we can retrieve the data, and we can update the data. That we can also do by using an application. Okay, so again, still why we have to work with a backend, backend service. The same task, whatever we will be doing in the automation, UI automation, that is what we are doing it here. This is what it is doing. It is getting the information in the UI. Also, if we click on the retrieve the user in button, it will also retrieve the user list. Here also it is doing the same job, right? If I am clicking on the retrieve information, it is retrieving the information. And here we are creating a data. In UI also we can enter all the information, and if we click on the register button or the create button, it has to create. Okay, here update is there. So here also in the UI also we'll be having a edit button. If you click on edit and if you provide the information, it will edit only. So then what is the purpose of going with a service like API testing, since we have already automation of UI, right? So we have a UI testing, but why we require this? Because compared to UI testing, compared to service testing, the UI testing is a bit slow. Okay, means compared to UI testing, this service testing will give us the result very fast. Okay, so because in that many factors will implement. I mean to say, application has to load, application has to take the input data, application has to process the data, and then after processing it has to it has to work internally, and it has to provide us the response back. Okay, so it will take a it is just compared to this, it's a time consuming process. So in order to optimize our response, in order to get the response quickly, so we will be jumping towards a API testing. This is what the main reason, guys. Okay, why we are jumping, and why other nowadays why organization are preferring to perform the API testing is, this is the main reason. Even though we have a UI testing, the whatever the task we can achieve in the UI, we can achieve in the API testing as well, but much easier and much faster way. Okay, for the just I'm giving, if the UI is taking 5 seconds to give us the response, but in API we can that achieve it in a 2 to 3 second only. Okay, it's a time consuming process, and as well as it's a very faster response. The process is very fast, and it will give us the response very fast. Okay, so in our if I take in our example, my our framework, is, my application as tightly coupled, and which is providing us the result. It is taking a lot of time to provide us the result. In order to run the 400 to 500 test cases, it is taking a lot of time to provide us the result. Okay, so the report generation is also taking a much time. So we are thinking to jump towards the API automation, since it is having a lot of advantage in order to provide us the result. Okay, so this is the main reason actually. Nowadays the companies are jumping towards the API testing, because API testing is having that power to automate both the front end as well as the back end as well as the database end as well. It can handle all the end to end. Okay, so but if you take a Selenium, it can't handle the back end. Okay, it only possible to handle the front end UI only. It's not possible from it to handle the backend, but API testing is not like that. Okay, it can handle the both the front end as well as the backend, and also it can work with the database as well. Okay, this is the huge advantage. This all the multiple loopholes, about this, still more information we'll discuss more in the actual sessions, when we are going to discuss why API testing, what is the advantage, like why we have to adopt a API testing. Nowadays all the organization, demanding a candidates to have a knowledge on the API testing, and also whatever the framework they were handling before in the UI testing, if that is not compatible with respect to providing them the result, so they are insisting engineers to implement the API testing framework instead of going with the UI testing framework. Okay, so why they are doing so? So because it is having a lot of advantage compared to UI with respect to providing us the result. Okay, and execution is also very easier. It will not consume much time because we are using a JSON is also the language which is very lightweight, right? It will process the data very easily in the backend, so it will give us the data very faster compared to UI. In the UI, what happens, it has to load the application. Sometimes application speed will not match with the whatever the UI library that we are using. So there, we face some multiple issues. Okay, and it will consume a lot of time. So multiple factors involves whenever we are running applications. Okay, not only application speed, environment, environment speed or environment configuration, application speed, and that whatever the library that we are using, it has to match the configuration of the application, and also with the Selenium that we are using. So a lot of things matters in that case. Okay, that is the main reason we are
But
jumping towards a API.
but here we don't require any environment, right? Directly we can, by making use of this tool, we can mimic that.
No, no, it's not like an environment is not required. Obviously, services also we have to execute in a different environments. Means, for example, while implementing these APIs, developers are implemented in the dev environment. But when they come up, testing environment, we have to test against the testing environment only. Okay, so environment is required. Without the environment, obviously, we have to deploy, right? We have to deploy in the different environments, and services has to deploy in the different environments, and we have to work on this. So we can mimic in the sense like you are talking about the mock server. Okay, in this mock server, yes, we can create a dummy environment and we can work with it. That is having a different concept. Okay, when we don't have an environment, when we have a requirement with us, when we have to don't have an environment, any environment we don't have, when we are not decided, and when we have a requirement ready, then we can mock it. We can create a dummy server like this. If you can see, if I want to show you guys, let's take an example of this mock server. Okay, I have just executed some scenarios with the help of the mock server to demonstrate you how mock server works, when the mock server is useful in the organization, how the mock server will be used by the developers, and how the mock server will be used by the test engineers. To demonstrate that, I have just created this. Okay, see if I click on this. mm, Yes, okay. See, I will overview on this. See, this is the mock server. Means mock server in the sense we are creating one dummy server in order to execute the some data. Okay. So here this is the not with respect to any particular environment. This is some dummy server we are just creating here. So we are creating a dummy server and we are creating some data, and we are creating examples. In that example, we are keeping a response. See, however we want, just we are only handling everything. So with respect to developer, this they will use it for the demonstration purpose before implementing actual APIs. Okay, so they don't want to waste their time by directly implementing a actual service, and after that, while they are demonstrating, if any lead or higher management says that no, response should be like this, I want in the response this information, I want in the response that information, this is not implemented in this, that is not implemented in this. If they performing any, if they are saying any changes, it is very huge task for them again. So what they will do, they will take a mock server and they will create a dummy server like this, they will create a data, and they will create their own response here, and they will demonstrate. See, this is an service, and in this service we have a data like this, and we are sending the request after successfully getting the back the response. This is how I'm we are planning to print the response. Then by looking into this demo, maybe some of you, like client, or a lead or a manager or someone, they may suggest you. So do one thing, like along with this response, I want to print the execution time, I want to print the executed engineer name, and I want to print the ID which is generating uniquely. I want to generate the ID every time whenever it is creating the data. So the new unique ID has to generate. This is all has to implement as part of the response. Okay, so they will just suggest you. Then what they will do in the mock server only, they will just go and they will just provide the dummy information. Then again they will execute, then again they will demonstrate. Once they're okay with everything, then the same thing they will implement in the actual server. Okay, so this is how mock server work. It is having a still we have many discussions to happen on this concept. With respect to test engine, it will work in different way. Okay, that is all we'll discuss in the actual sessions. Okay, this is how mock server works. Anything else, guys? Any questions? But yeah, like anything you want to ask? If you have anything, means just do ask me the question. Will wind up, and just they will follow up you guys for the sessions. So do let me know so that we'll start the actual session.